Christmas in Las Vegas, decorate your tree with chips. Let's roll a yo beneath the mistletoe while that angel strips. Rudolph sold the sled, now he's betting on red in a casino made out of gingerbread. Christmas in Las Vegas, it's a trip.
December 25th, 2015. Welcome to Faces and Aces Las Vegas, a podcast where we share great Vegas stories and discuss tips and tricks on how to make your next Vegas trip a better experience. In the Faces segment, we talk to Mike, security shift manager at the SLS Las Vegas. In the Aces segment, we talk about where to find $5 all-day parking for downtown Las Vegas. Also, we have our What Happened in Vegas news and the Tip the Player segment. Our website is facesandaceslv.com and our voicemail number is 702-381-3657. Welcome to Faces and Aces Las Vegas. My name is Chris, and today I'm joined in studio by my partner in crime, my partner in Vegas, my partner in life, Jennie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Katie and Aaron couldn't be here today. They're off doing holiday things, Christmassy things, and so my lovely wife has agreed to step in. I had to feed her a magnificent dinner to bribe her to sit in with me.
There was lots of butter involved. He knows exactly the way to my heart.
Through cholesterol. So thanks for hanging out with me. Mostly I need you here for moral support because there are some things that I wanted to talk about before the interview with Mike. I was originally, since Katie and Aaron couldn't be here, I was originally just going to release the interview with Mike and be done with it. But a bunch of things happened this past week that need to be talked about, as well as some things that are coming up for the show that need to be talked about also. So thanks for hanging out with me.
You're welcome. There's something about having a microphone in front of your face that makes you immediately self-conscious.
Right? It's weird. Podcasting is really weird in that when Katie and Aaron and I are just hanging out talking, we went to go see Star Wars last Friday, and we're just hanging out talking, totally different personalities than when we sit down here in front of the mic. I don't know what it is. Forget that there's a mic in front of you. Just relax, like we're hanging out watching TV, and we're like we did the other night when we were making fun of Miss Universe. The other night, we just happened to be flipping around the TV, and I saw that Miss Universe was coming on, and I said, oh, you have to sit down and watch this because this is going to be amazing.
And somehow you have a knack for knowing that something big is about to happen.
Oh, I could see train wrecks coming from a mile away. I have that sixth sense when it comes to train. I'm like, I got a spidey sense. And so we sat down, we started watching Miss Universe, and it did not disappoint from minute one. We had women coming out in their costumes that were designed by their countries, and they were wearing these things that I could have sworn came straight from the Hunger Games. I mean, we're talking Miss Canada came out with like a podium hanging from her crotch.
It wasn't a podium. It was a totem pole.
Oh, that's right. She had like a totem pole hanging from her crotch. And then another woman came out with like sporting a full like 5 o'clock shadow. We had another woman come out like wearing a tuk-tuk, like handlebars and everything.
And I think not only were the costumes entertaining, it was this odd mix of the Hunger Games or Victoria's Secret runway show or transportation. I mean, you just didn't know what was up next. But I think we even got such a kick out of the commentary from the person who was kind of softly whispering some background trivia about each candidate.
Right.
Contestant, that's probably the right word. And you could just tell when there was nothing interesting to say, she would default to, oh, Miss, from country X had the furthest to travel than anybody. And we just would start laughing.
What kind of fun fact is that?
Because then another contestant would be like, she graduated with a medical degree and will now be studying law.
Yeah, she graduated with a master's in helping humanity. And then some woman would come out and be like, she's never won before.
Yeah.
Or another, I swear to God,
How is that comparable?
Another woman came out, I swear, her fun fact was, they just found her last week.
Yeah. So it was the commentary with the costume and yeah.
Yeah, but that wasn't the best part. The best part, you went to bed, you got tired, and I'm hanging out. I'm just playing around on Twitter a little bit, and I start seeing Steve Harvey messed up on live television. I didn't know what was going on. So I just kept watching, and I, fast forwarded to the end of the show because we were about an hour behind on our TiVo. And Steve Harvey crowned Miss Columbia as Miss Universe. And she came out, and she was basking in the applause and the spotlight and the music, and they give her the flowers. They put the crown on her head, and it was just this wonderful moment as every Miss Universe pageant ends. And then about 2 minutes of weird, awkward silence of her just standing on stage. Steve Harvey came back out saying, my bad, I read the card wrong. The actual winner is Miss Philippines.
Well, he actually, when you showed it to me later, he didn't even say the actual winner is Miss Philippines. He said Miss Columbia is actually the first runner-up.
Right.
Which then left both Miss Philippines and Miss USA wondering, it could be me.
No, Miss USA knew because
she mouthed something like,
she said it's you. She said it's you to Miss Philippines, and Miss Philippines was just kind of standing there going, really? Wait, what's going on? And there was all this confusion. And so Miss Philippines came out onto the stage, and nobody knew what to do.
Well, and I love, it's so funny because I read these, all the commentary the next day, and people were saying, I mean, the level of analysis people were coming up with to figure out how Steve Harvey botched this up.
Yeah.
And they're even blaming it on the design of the card, the way that there was, information on the left versus information on the right side of the card.
Yeah.
And I think it's as simple as whenever from my recollection, I don't watch pageants every year, but from what I remember, when they come to the last two, like there's a special way they announce it. They don't say the first runner-up is Miss X, congratulations, Miss Y. It's like a really weird backwards way of saying who won. Mm-hmm. So I think that's simply why he messed it up.
All I know is I was riveted. I could not turn away from the TV because they took that crown off her head. They tried to swap out the flowers, but she wouldn't give up her flowers. It was like just the weirdest, most uncomfortable, awkward thing that I've ever seen. And it was very sad for Miss Columbia. I did feel a little bit bad for her, but I mean, this is probably one of the best things that she could have done short of becoming second place on American Idol. Like, she will go on to do huge things because of the notoriety that she's getting because of this. So she'll be okay.
She will be. It's, to be fair, Miss Philippines now didn't get her moment.
Yeah, sucks for her too.
And so for both of them.
Yeah. I just want Steve Harvey to call the election this year.
They should. I think he can have a career he's definitely coming out for the Oscars. That's his new career path.
So, yeah, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, because you were actually there with me when all of this was going on. And the next morning when you got up, and I was like, oh, you have to see this. Are you up yet? Are you up yet? Come here, watch this. So that's the Miss Columbia thing. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up was, we forgot to say a special thank you to Richard Cheese, who provided us with the opening music, Christmas in Vegas, from his album Cocktails with Santa.
Thank you, Richard Cheese.
Thank you, Mr. Cheese. Appreciate it much. It's a fantastic song. It's a fantastic lounge Christmas album, and he does a lot of really cool lounge cover songs. So if you're a fan of lounge music, or if you're a fan of Mr. Cheese, something you should know, 2016 will be his last year of touring. So if he's coming to a town near you, or if you had been putting off going to see him, go check him out. And if you're going to be in Vegas, he's performing on March 25th. I don't know where in Las Vegas. He is booked somewhere, but you can go to his website. We'll provide a link to his website in the show notes. But again, thank you for letting us use that song. One other thing that I wanted to bring up is on episode 11, Aaron and Katie and I talked about millennials. What somewhat inspired that conversation is some stuff that I saw on Twitter. Specifically, Mark over at Edge Vegas has a few terrific articles that I'll provide a link to in the show notes. If you are curious about reading about how the casinos are changing it up to suit that specific group of people, he has some fantastic stuff for you to read. Again, we'll provide the links in the show notes. Okay, so there are some changes that are going to be coming to the show. We've been playing with the format a little bit since we began, picking up a couple of new things, dropping a couple of things. One of the things I think we need to drop is the news, or not drop it completely, but we're not going to do the news so frequently, mostly because there are so many Vegas podcasts out there. Many of them, all of them do it better than we do it. And let's be honest, no one's coming here for the news.
They're coming for the charming personalities.
They're coming for the free booze. And so when a news story comes by that catches our eye, maybe we'll discuss it in the banter, but I think we're pretty much going to drop the news segment of the show, and that's one of the changes we're going to bring in 2016. Also, in 2016, we're going to try to bring in some new, interesting, different segments to the show. Really what we want to do is create a whole bunch of rotating segments for the show that we try this. If it's good, we'll bring it back more often. Try something else. If that doesn't work, we'll drop it completely. But we want to play with the podcast format and do more than just news, interview, aces, out. Want to have some fun.
So my job as your Vegas clipping service is over.
Jennie has a producer credit on the show because she always sends me little fun Vegas stories every so often. Thank you for that, but you can stop.
When can I expect my last paycheck? It's in the mail.
Yeah, the check is in the mail. Okay, one last thing that happened earlier this week, and this is where the show takes a little bit of a serious turn, is there was an accident that happened on Las Vegas Boulevard. A woman drove up onto the sidewalk and ran over hit a whole bunch of pedestrians on the sidewalk and killed one woman. Our hearts go out to the family, and I wanted to just bring up here that the family did put together a GoFundMe page to bring Jessica Valenzuela home for they're raising money for the transportation costs and the funeral. So if you would like to help, we're going to provide a link in our show notes to their GoFundMe page. Jessica Valenzuela leaves behind a husband and 3 daughters, so please help if you can. Okay, so having said that, I guess we'll break into our final news. So we have a special New Year's Eve edition of the news. 3 quick news stories, and they're not even news stories. They're more kind of like helpful hints. If you're heading out to Las Vegas for New Year's Eve, here's a few things that you should know. News story number 1. Las Vegas monorail to operate nonstop on New Year's Eve.
Well, sir, there's nothing on earth like a genuine, bona fide, electrified 6-car monorail. That's right, monorail. Monorail.
The source is vegasnews.com. The monorail that travels up and down the Strip will remain open for 44 hours straight, starting at 7 a.m. New Year's Eve until 3 a.m. January 2nd. Since the Strip is closed to automobile traffic starting around 5:45 on New Year's Eve, the monorail and the free hotel trams are the only motorized forms of transportation available on the Strip until 4 a.m. New Year's Day. A single ride ticket will cost you $5, and a 24-hour pass will cost $12. Las Vegas locals can purchase a single ride ticket for $1.
How much is the 44-hour pass?
I guess that's 2 days, so that'll be $24.
But I got gypped 4 hours.
I know, you get robbed.
I'm representing Aaron today.
Oh, you're going to bust my balls on every news story.
It's a question Aaron would ask. I'm channeling him right now. What happened to the extra 4 hours if I'm paying for 48 hours?
Well, Chris. I can't do that. I can't do an Aaron impression. He'll kill me.
No.
But maybe I'll leave it in. I'm going to leave it in just to see if he listens to this episode.
No. And it sounds like a lot of fun. I don't know what your plans are for New Year's Eve, but I may have to go ride that monorail. So what would be fun, actually, is if you could ride in that Ferris wheel thing at the link.
The high roller.
The high roller.
Right.
That could be fun to rent out one of those booths.
Right.
For New Year's Eve. Have some friends. You can fit like 20 people in there.
I think it's capacity 40.
Okay, well, you can have a pretty good party, but I guess that would be standing room only.
Also, I guess it spins, so you're hopefully at the apex of the Ferris wheel when it hits midnight, so you can see all the fireworks going on all over the strip. What if you're at the bottom? Then you're just in a glass enclosed booth and you gotta pee. But that could be fun. I agree. I think there are some of those cabins that have bartenders in them, and so yeah, it would be kind of cool. And it's a half-hour rotation all the way around. And yeah, you do have to keep in mind, if you have to pee, there's no getting off. You just got to hold it till you're done.
Wow.
Okay, let's go into news story number 2. Downtown Countdown 2016.
Downtown, 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 downtown.
Our source is LasVegasHowTo.com. The Fremont Experience will be closed to the public starting at 4 p.m. on New Year's Eve. At 5 p.m., the gates will open for ticketed guests, with concerts starting at 5:30. The 10-hour event will include 2 street stages and a main stage featuring over a dozen cover bands, including Rio. Guess which cover band that is?
I'm just thinking REO Speedwagon.
Her name is Rio.
Oh, Duran Duran.
Duran Duran cover band Rio. Van Halen. Guess what cover band that's for?
Van Halen.
I swear to God, the band's name is Van Halen. Cover band.
Are they Vietnamese?
I just imagine 4 little Vietnamese guys covering Van Halen songs. That's phenomenal. Okay, try to guess this one. No Duh. That is a tribute band for which band? No Duh.
No doubt.
Yeah. And the Red...
No, I meant, like, no doubt.
And the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Tickets cost $40 and can be purchased online, in person at any of the Fremont Street Experience member hotel casinos, or at the event gates. News story number 3. Free fireworks at America's Party.
Baby, you're a firework. Come on, let you go.
The source is TravelVegas.com. If you're not up for paying to see Britney Spears, Celine Dion, Maroon 5, or Bruno Mars on New Year's Eve, all of whom will be performing at various locations on the Strip, you can count down to the new year with thousands of people on Las Vegas Boulevard for free. Mandalay Bay, Caesars Palace, Planet Hollywood, and many other casinos will have fireworks shows lighting up the desert sky at the stroke of midnight. A few things you should keep in mind. If you're staying off-strip, get to the Strip early. The I-15 off-ramps will close starting around 5 p.m., and barricades on the Strip start to go up around 5:45. It's going to be cold, probably around 30 degrees, so make sure you dress warm. And also make sure you use the bathroom before you head out. Many of the hotels stop letting people in around 11 o'clock, and they don't reopen their doors until 12:30 a.m. A comprehensive list of all parties, concerts, and events can be found at TravelVegas.com, and at LasVegasHowTo.com we'll provide a link to the... What are you looking at me for? You're looking at me weird.
I just want to laugh.
Why are you laughing? Are you still laughing at your own joke of Van Halen? yourself up? Is that what's going on? We will provide a link to both these websites and everything else that we mentioned in the news on the show notes. You got me laughing so hard, my glasses are fogged up. I can't see you anymore. And that's what happened in Vegas. This week, we have something really cool for the Faces segment of the show. We talked to Mike, a security shift manager at the SLS Las Vegas. Mike is a guy who really loves the city, but not necessarily for the obvious reasons. As you'll hear in the interview, the city of Las Vegas gave Mike a job, a career, a wife, and a family, and for that, he's very grateful. In my book, that's the biggest win anyone can have in Vegas. Here's our interview with Mike. How you doing, man?
I'm real good. Thank you for having me, man.
Thanks for coming on in.
Yeah, this is a new experience to me. I'm usually in the shadows kind of guy, so.
Well, I mean, with security, that's part of your job. You need to be not seen and then only be seen when it's absolutely necessary.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, security out here in Vegas is one of those big things, the eye in the sky, as they like to say.
Yeah.
We're everywhere. We're posted around everywhere, walking around everywhere. You know, I can't give away too much of where staff is and all that, but you know, we're not just the old school Vegas big brute types. You know,
Yeah.
security has come a long way as far as the customer service aspect of it, because we are everywhere.
Yeah.
In the property. So people asking, where's this restaurant? How do I get to this show? That's my staff has to have a dual mentality. We wear several hats, and one of them is the customer service hat.
We actually jumped right into it. Let's get to know you before we get into the job, into the work, because the podcast is called Faces and Aces, and what we like to highlight are the people who live and work here and make the city great.
It is. You know, it's Vegas is a melting pot of so many different areas, but very few natives, and it's myself included. I came out of Southern California 21 years ago. You know, came out here on a whim, really young age, 24, and
What brought you out here?
you know, it was I helped a friend move out here, and I was coming out here every other weekend, and you know, doing the Vegas party thing. And at
Yeah.
that time, I didn't have a lot going on. Back home, I was working and this and that, and you know, I just kind of packed up my little truck, and with the few items I had, came out here, moved in with a couple friends, and just got into the casino business and shot from there.
Where did you start in the casino business?
I started as a busboy 21 years ago at the Mirage. And actually, when I came out here, prior to moving out here, I used to work back home in California as a daycare teacher. And so I thought coming out here, that the town was growing at that time, still is. And I'd be able to get a job quickly. Although the community has grown so much, it was really hard to get a job, and they weren't hiring males in the daycare field out here. So one of my roommates that I moved in with was actually a Keno runner in this restaurant. One of the girls walked around to the tables and asked if he wanted to play Keno. And so she asked her boss, and then her boss asked the restaurant boss, do you need anyone? And so after 3 months of not finding work, they kind of did me a favor. I was a busboy for a bit, and then they were going to cut back staffing, and someone else says, why don't you join security? So I went to the interview and tried it, and I told him, you know, I've done something a lot tougher than deal with, I'm sure, with what you deal with. You know, I've dealt with kids for the past 4 years, and if you could deal with that. So they laughed and took a chance on me, and 21 years later, I'm still in the business. And Vegas has been for me, very opportunistic, very, very, it's given me a lot personally, especially over the 21 years, you know, I've always had a job. I've always been lucky enough to be working. It took me a few months to get in, but once I was there, I always maintained that.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, people say, oh, you live in Vegas, you must live right there on the strip. No, it's, you know, we have stores and churches and the whole nine.
Yeah.
So, you know, my kids go to regular schools. They don't go under a casino to a private schooling facility. So I think that's kind of one of the funny misconceptions about Vegas, but it's grown huge, both economically and just everything around. housing is cheaper than most places.
Mm-hmm.
I live fairly decent with my family and no complaints, but it took a minute to get there. I had my fun when I first moved out here at 24, and the single guy party life, and went through all that, and we still love to have fun, my family and I, and it's just in a different aspect now. But and family isn't just blood, it's bound by those people you keep tight. So we got a lot of those around here. And,
all right. Let me jump in and ask you this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
When you just heard that scream, did you immediately, something inside you want to
I
react?
did. I perked up. I looked out windows right over your shoulders, and I was wondering what that was. And
I don't know if the mics picked it up, but there was a scream that we heard outside on the street. And working security, does your instinct automatically go to
whatever I could see? And I don't see anyone else reacting out there or anything, but that's kind of I go into that. I'm constant. I can't go to a Denny's restaurant and not know where the emergency exit is and escape routes. I
was going to ask, do you take your work home with you?
I do. Unfortunately,
is that part of your personality naturally, or you learn? Is that something you learned?
I think now, being in the business so long that I've done, I do tend to be. It's not a paranoia at all.
Scan the crowd.
Right. I scan. I see what's going
exits.
on. I'm always looking at hands. And now it's more so as I said, for the protection of my family, or loved ones, or friends, or business, whatever. But constantly like, what's going on? Like, if some lady's getting hurt right now from that scream, do I, I'm on my personal time. Do I get involved? Do I take that risk? Whatever.
Well,
but if that were to happen at my hotel,
we would.
Yeah, I would.
We're all human, so we definitely would jump in. But
right. But I definitely looked over your shoulder to see if I could see anything.
I heard it, and then if it kept going, I was going to be like, let's go check it out.
I'll man the fort back here.
There you go. Protect the equipment.
I'll be the command center.
So, Aaron, load up if you have questions, because this is your opportunity. Well, here's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is your opportunity to talk to someone who works security at a casino.
Well, I was just going to tell you, Chris, that I was looking for an opportunity to talk to someone who works in security at a casino. I always like to see the inner workings, the inner gears, if you will, operational side of things. So talking to someone who's definitely high up at a very big established hotel in Las Vegas, of all places, is very exciting to me.
Awesome.
Here's my first question. I want to know, over time, there have been a lot of technology advances in the world of security. So I'd like to know as much as you can tell me without exposing all your secrets that are protecting us. I want to know how the use of technology in your daily job helps you or makes your job more difficult.
Actually, that's a real good question. It's Vegas. There's cameras everywhere. Casinos rely on the cameras a lot, excessively. And in fact, today when I was teaching a class on self-defense, this technology, I'm holding a cell phone. Everyone has a cell phone that has a camcorder, and is that going to hurt you now? And, you're going to find yourself on medias that you didn't even know you're going to end up on. But as far as the technology, I think it's gotten so advanced. Is it Ocean's 11 movie type technology where, well, maybe a little bit.
Depends how much you want to pay for, right?
Exactly. So, but it's definitely gotten a lot better, a lot faster. When I started, not too far back, actually, it was still VHS tapes that recorded constantly 24/7.
Wow.
And when I used to work on Graveyard in what we call the monitor room, there came a time you had to change out those VHS tapes and swap them out. And some of those properties have 60, 70, 120 machines that you would have to swap that out. Now everything's gone digital, and for the most part, most properties have the same guys. And I work, my security staff, and most property security staff, there's a separation between us and surveillance. And so surveillance is the gaming aspect, and they're watching the table games, the blackjack, craps, and all that.
They're watching the money.
They're watching the money, and
so that's not security. That's surveillance.
That's surveillance.
Okay.
And security is usually watching all non-gaming entrances, restaurants, hallways, all that non-gaming stuff. In surveillance, you actually have to go through many, many, many courses because you have to know how to pay, play, cheat, all that type of things in surveillance, watching the blackjack. Now, I love blackjack, But do I know how to cheat at it? No.
Let me stop you there. That's exactly what a card counter would say.
Right.
So I don't know if I buy that.
But my guys, we, depending on the size of the property, those guys are the same guys that are working in there daily. I don't rotate those guys out. Those guys will know because they now have to scan through 500 plus cameras to find something. If someone on the floor comes on the radio and says, I'm at Main Valet and I got this going on.
Yeah.
They don't have to look at a piece of paper. They're going to remember a camera number, be able to punch it up. Okay, this guy's going from the main valet to hotel registration. Now there's a tracking system, and you're going to have to pull up multiple cameras. One of my favorite teams I've ever worked on was 4 guys, and you're asking me about thinking, we had to think 4 cameras ahead when we were tracking someone because I knew the guy next to me had those next cameras up and the guy next to me. And that was, oh man, I miss those guys. And it was so fun working with them.
So what about technology? Like you see implementations of people being able to scan faces as people walk into the casino and track them as they go throughout the casino. What can you say about that sort of technology?
Well, yeah, I mean, just to tag the back end of that comment or question, what about banned people who aren't allowed in the casino? Do you guys have facial recognition technology that you're on as soon as they come in?
Chris is a little worried about something he did last time.
Okay, he stands out with that New York Yankees hat. So. But that technology is out there.
Yeah.
Very expensive.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny that is most of these repeat offenders, shall you say, one of the biggest things is trespass for whatever reason. What people don't understand is these properties it's private property, and people don't know. Oh well, I come in here, you invited me, I'm a guest, I paid for it. It's still private property, and so once we kick someone out and they return, as far as the facial recognition, I'll even say it's the Stan W facial recognition. Stan W is one of my officers, and he recognizes that person from a week ago.
Okay, that's awesome.
So, they're like, the Stan W recognition technology, and what? And
well, what do they know?
Right. Well, but
they're doing
you
the
still have
wrong
to have
thing
a
anyway.
leg to stand on, and I'm going to definitely trust a guy that said. In fact, I just had that recently. This past Sunday, one of my officers kicked someone out. Undesirable activity, we'll call it. And he was back yesterday, and he says, my guy says, hey, that's the guy that we kicked out on Sunday. So we approached and talked to him, and he's like, I don't remember getting trespassed. I don't even know what that means. And we got to go by Nevada law, Nevada revised statutes, and that's the trespass law. And that's usually how you get rid of people. But when it comes to, like, you were getting back to your original question about technology, there's that out there. I can't get into what we have or don't have, but that is definitely, I've seen it. I've been to some of the conventions.
I heard Bellagio has it. I heard
that was Ocean's 11. And,
actually, Aaron was going to ask, could you give us the passwords to all of the?
Yeah, right.
Well, all I need is some of the mainframe server passwords and those sorts of things.
I'll email you those.
So just to follow up a little bit about that. So how do you, with all this technology out there and all these ways that you can spy on your customers for the benefit of many reasons,
overseas,
how do you deal with privacy in an ever-growing world where people want everything to be private and deserve that everything should be private, but they should be protected at the same time and they should know everything?
There's certain areas that obviously cannot be surveilled. Bathrooms. We don't put cameras, and we won't put cameras in hotel rooms.
It's good to know. Now I'll do whatever I I want to do in the bathrooms and the hotel rooms. I always thought they were secretly watching me.
There are things known as integrity checks. And, we can do integrity checks where we do set up certain things. But we know our legality, and we have a general counsel that lets us know, yeah, you can or can't. We get permission from whatever. If it comes down to that now, without giving away too many info, because I don't want people like, no cameras in the hotel room. And every property is different, but you're going to have in your common areas, mostly. And when there's signage, there's verbiage everywhere. You may be under surveillance, blah, blah, blah. And I would hope to think that most people that visit Vegas understand the concept There's cameras everywhere. There's cameras on the streets. There's cameras in the casinos, in your restaurants. As even the employees, you have to realize you're under camera. And it's not just because we're spying on you or making sure you're not skimming from the till or whatever. It's for your protection.
Yeah.
So I get these restaurant workers that we have, cameras pointing at their registers and whatever. It's, whoops, mistakes happen and whatever, and we can now backtrack.
And you can tell if it's a mistake
Right.
or if they've done the same, oops, I accidentally dropped it 5 times.
Is there a pattern here?
Yeah.
That was actually something. You bring up something interesting that we talked about before over at the SLS, and tell me if you can't go into this. But I found it interesting that there has to be a distance between you and the rest of the staff of the hotel, because you can't be too buddy-buddy, because you're not just being security for guests, you're also being security for the people who work there.
Absolutely. And, for the majority, all departments go through background checks and what have you. But we know, as we say, life happens.
Yeah.
Whatever. Economically, it seems to be one of the driven things for theft and that type of thing. I've been burned where at a smaller property I used to work at prior to SLS, I had a guy that used to come, hey, Sheriff, he'd come in, call me Sheriff every day. Became very close, and talked about families, talked about personal lives. Well, right under my nose, he was actually skimming from the tips and the till, so I took it very personal. Just seeing an older guy and whatever, and then just realized down on his luck. It became personal when he was stealing from my company, and I was...
And he was buddying up to
Yeah, he
you.
was buddying up to me, and now was he, very on the job when I was around him, and back of house in the employee dining room, all that, but,
It's tough not to take personal, because he made it personal by calling, you bring him in as a friend.
Right, talk about your family and stuff, and share
yeah.
those personal. I try not to do that very much, and...
Yeah.
I am very, I guess, extrovert. I'm open book.
You seem friendly. Yes.
We met at a coffee shop. We just two guys, because he's extroverted and so am I. And we just bumped into it and started talking for like half an hour.
I read it in your little diary. You didn't tell me. I read it in your diary today. I met the
found it in your
nicest
hotel
guy.
room. And I think that's where people become buddy and put up a little more guard now and what have you. And that was several years ago, but
Makes you better, don't you think?
I think so.
You're stronger now. Everyone has to be burned.
Right.
It's like we say in the IT world, you have to lose your data once.
Yes.
Have a failed hard drive once before you understand. And some people have to learn lessons multiple times.
But you still kind of watch out, and I can let people in so much and whatever, but it still doesn't mean I have to go have a beer with them after work. Listen, I'm still watching.
In terms of things that you're not supposed to do, like, for example, when you're driving on the freeway, Highway Patrol will either give you a pass or give you some leeway in terms of what you're doing. Is it the same way in hotel security, or is it pretty much zero tolerance?
It depends on the act. Now, like you were saying with the signs, I've kicked out very well-known celebrities for lewd acts before. Been involved in some of that. And
what do they do? Should we not say that?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was going to say, what did Charlie Sheen do? No, I don't want to kick a dude when he's down.
Right, yeah, that's rough. Too soon.
But you just did.
But, and those are that type of questions. And then we're going to definitely let them know that, that's intolerable. It's not whatever. Now, if it's and it also depends on how you're going to react to my questioning. I'm pretty level-headed when it comes to these questions. I don't come in Billy Badass. I run this place. I'm not
sunglasses on.
Yeah, and I'll come in level-headed. You got to empathize. You got to as much as hard as it is to do. You got to empathize with whatever's going on with them. Who knows? Maybe it isn't what I think I saw. Maybe he grabbed. We had an incident the other day at work actually, where the girl was on the phone, and the guy went to grab it. Was talking to the mother-in-law. He went to grab the phone, and it looked like he hit her. He'd never touched her. He went to grab the phone. Yes, they were arguing. Someone reported it. A cab driver reported it. And so we had to, watch over and over and talk to them, separate them. Okay, was there a crime committed here? No. But it looked like if someone thought they saw a crime by him hitting her. And, so those are the kind of questions. Now, if he's going to come out, F you, I don't have to tell you anything, this and that.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to step up my questioning and whatever. And hopefully, obviously, he doesn't attack me or my staff, or hotel staff, but that's usually when you're going to get the feel, you know what, okay, you know, sir, I'm sorry, you know, that's not what it looks like. I have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that what someone is saying, third party is saying, that's what happened. Like I said, that's why I use that case. And if someone told me, oh, he hit her, and after video review, it shows an interviewing and this and that, that wasn't the case.
So is there a chain of custody on all requests for surveillance? So, for instance, I would think if I, you know, were a security guard, wouldn't it be fun, or someone, not a security guard, if I was someone in security in the surveillance department who had access to all the cameras and all the footage and everything they would want, you know, what stops abuse there? And where's the record of they've reviewed this footage at this time?
How you started that was the chain of custody. Yeah, we have a chain of custody. I don't just let anyone come review. They have to give us a reason. As far as my staff that's reviewing that, you know, we have our policies and procedures in place, of course. And then there is no personal devices allowed in my dispatch center. So in other words, they cannot bring their personal cell phones and record off of the screens that are going on of that nature.
I have a few rapid fire questions.
Okay.
We'll do a lightning round. How often do you get people waving at the elevator and the camera?
Constantly, you know, they twerk, they do the selfies, they jump in the elevator. They
you know
do
what
all
I said elevator and the camera. What I meant to say was
camera in the elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. You see and you'll see the obscene acts and what have you, and they'll do it and they don't care, and you know, a few cocktails and they lose all their inhibitions.
That's a little bit gray area. You kind of let that go,
right? Yeah, you know,
how far they're going.
Obviously, you know, if it's a flash of a woman's breast or a guy wiggling his behind or whatever, okay, just go to your room. Right. And that's the essence. You just want them to go up to the room for the night, call it a night.
Yeah.
Now, if they're coming down and headed into the casino, that's a whole new ballgame. We might want to watch them.
Right.
And are they going to the club? Are they leaving property? Yeah, it's Vegas. You're still allowed your fun.
Okay, another quick question. Are there code phrases that you will throw, like we have a flying chicken over in this room?
Wow.
The leaking squirrel in the west corridor.
The eagle has landed type thing.
Yeah.
You know, we try to stay away from that. We try to keep it pretty professional. Most hotels, most properties are going to use numbered codes.
Okay.
Or some sort of code on the radio.
Got it.
Although all our radios are, you know, we wear earpieces and whatever, we don't want what's happening, everyone hearing.
Right.
You know, whether it's a medical or this, or I'm bringing I'm bringing Charlie Sheen down from the hotel room right now. We're en route type thing. We don't need that blasted out. So, you know, it's usually on a need-to-know basis type thing, but we try to stay very common speak and then our code language.
What about, I don't know if there's a PC word for this now, hookers.
Hookers don't exist in Vegas.
Okay. What about...
You know, it's oldest profession in the world.
Yeah. Are they escorted off of the property?
They are. If it's
quickly?
And what we can't not do is assume a girl because of how she's dressed, or even male for that aspect.
Of course.
We cannot assume, so we don't guarantee. What the problem, and you know, Nye County is not that far away where prostitution is legal. Mm-hmm. You know, but this is where the money is in these big properties and this and that. The problem with the prostitution aspect of it is other crimes come with it. The prostitution, whatever, if someone wants to pay for it, the problem is once this guy goes to take a shower, now the girl is stealing the money, the Rolex, what have you. Mm-hmm. Now it's a bigger crime than having sex for money.
Well, I kind of wanted to follow up on what does a hooker have to do to get kicked out? Because women could be aggressive, you know, and dressed in a revealing manner, but there has to be more to it. So what is it?
It's usually going to be the solicitation aspect.
So they have to say, I would like to do blank for money to you.
Yeah, would you, or, you know, and local law enforcement has their stings that they'll come in and do. But you cannot just, you know, there's a difference between slutty and hooker. And
It's hard
it's a
to
fine
find
line.
that line
It's a
here,
fine
though,
line,
you know?
absolutely. You know, and you know, again, it falls back on the time of year and what have you. And girls love to come out here and have fun in Vegas, and that's not a crime.
There's a hooker time of year.
well, the hooker season.
Hooker season, and there's a low season.
And then it's funny aspect though that you know it seems the city, depending on major events or conventions, is when tend to see more of that.
And when you trespass someone, I know that there's networks of communication sharing between the hotels. When you trespass someone from your hotel, do you network with other hotels to share that information?
We do. There's constant networking.
So I
between-
could get banned from your hotel and then subsequently get banned from all the other strip.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, now you have to have a reason, but I could easily call my buddy over at one of the other properties and say, hey, you know what? This guy was partying here last night. He got kicked out for this reason. He told me he's staying at your hotel. This is a little big town.
Don't want to mess with you.
Don't, you know, so all I got to do, and they'll keep an eye out, and this is what he looks like. I'll send him a picture via email.
And then they hassle him when
right.
he's there.
Well, not
And it-
hassle him, but this is the guy who did.
And,
something.
and as long as you don't do anything there,
Yeah, of course.
it's kind of like McDonald's. We reserve the right to refuse service to anybody.
Yeah, but you'll take the money until they start causing
Absolutely.
trouble.
Absolutely. I'll
Yeah,
take
or
anything.
until they win. You know, let me check the records. Let me see your ID.
Overall, they know how to throw it back in, though. I'll invite you back again as a guest that won a lot, and you'll put it right back in. That seems to be that's what keeps Vegas open all these years, you know.
Is there I know there is with Disneyland, a back room where you take things to be handled? I'm not talking violently, but
A
quietly?
Disney jail,
yeah.
a casino jail.
Yeah, is there?
We have interview rooms.
Okay.
We'll discuss it, and everything is under surveillance, and usually audio recorded, and that's for both people's our protection as well as said bad guy, bad girl.
Right.
But yeah, we have interview rooms that we, you know, because if there's a volatile situation on the casino floor, in a nightclub, whatever,
Right.
you need a quiet space to be able to talk to someone, and usually that is where it ends up de-escalating, anyways.
Right.
Because now you're not in this crowd. You're alone, not alone, but you always have your partners there with you. They don't have, 30 people that can jump you,
Right.
So
Now,
yeah.
your
you
hotel,
have the 30 people that
I
could
got
jump
the 30
them
people.
and then throw them out of the casino in
86.
the alley.
Escort them
Yeah.
off gingerly into a cab.
Yeah, and then, this guy, he's a drunk outside. Call him a cab.
your hotel has a huge, rich history. And a wonderful, a little bit sad. We're running short of time.
That's okay.
Maybe some other day we'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
Because you were telling me about Sammy Davis Jr. and there's so many wonderful things about your hotel. But when I was talking about the back room, the first thing that comes to mind for me is is this the room where the guys took him back there with the?
And it's funny you mentioned that as we spoke when we first met. I was kind of showing you around the property that there's so much history in there, and even I wonder, well, gosh, back in the day, back in the 50s, 60s, when this was a different name and different time.
Yeah.
This room that we know was a count room
Right.
is now just a storage room.
Right.
But gosh, what happened down here? I would, the ghost of the property. I love to pick their brains.
Yeah. Do you have? I think we're actually. We've already gone for almost an hour. If you have any funny stories that you'd like to share,
Goodness. How vulgar can...
we could slap up a warning if needed.
I was teaching my class today, a self-defense class,
Yeah.
and I like to always end, and it really does have nothing to do with self-defense, but it's just once you think you've seen it all, something else happens. And many years ago, I responded to a call of a gentleman in a hotel hallway screaming, and we didn't know why. That's all we got. We got it from housekeeping. They said he was screaming, so we showed up, and the guy's crouched down, fetal position, and when we come around, we see there's blood everywhere. And come to find out, this gentleman had 2 female companions with him in the room, bragging that he can break a champagne bottle with his Prince Albert piercing. He broke the bottle, but the bottle won. He cut himself fairly well, and ended up out in the hallway. And so, when you get that type of walking up onto a scene, and there's a lot of blood. And first of all, you got to take care of yourself. I don't want to touch that blood, and I don't want to touch where it's coming from. So we had to get him medical attention, and but it's just one of those things like, what were you thinking?
And that's one of those stories where he'll try to explain later why it's totally normal for that to happen. Like when people find things inside them, it's like, oh, I fell down and then this accidentally happened. He's going to have some crazy story. And I would love to follow up with him after and see what his excuse was.
I've seen successful suicides, botched suicides, celebrities at their finest. There's one I got called for a naked male passed out in a hallway, and this is a former NBA player who's about 6'10".
Wow.
And
so
sure enough,
blocking the hallway.
Oh yeah, and completely nude, and so we had to get him to his room. I'm only about 5'8".
How many people did that take?
It took 3 of us.
Okay.
Yeah, it took 3 of us. So
you intimately knew this.
I
man.
intimately know. He doesn't remember me, but yeah, I've probably seen more.
I remember you.
One of the biggest physical encounters I came across was actually one of the company's high executives' sons. Him and his buddies were partying, got into a physical altercation in the nightclub with some big guys. Come to find out they were the linemen of a professional football team. And so they all ended up outside the club. And this basically was a all hands on deck type separate. You got the boss's kid fighting a professional football team offensive line, all hands on deck. And it was just chaos and pulling bodies apart. And me, I'm 5'8" on a good day, 190 pounds, trying to push off offensive linemen and get the boss's kid out of here. But it was all over a girl, of course. And so, those are the kind of stories you kind of remember all your years.
Boss's kid is what's important, though.
He got away.
Yeah.
We made sure he was gone.
You ever get hurt, like badly?
I have.
In the hospital?
Me, not hospital-wise. Sprains, contusions, obviously. My biggest thing is this pretty smile I have now was paid for by my former employer because I had a gentleman that I got called for, and he was very hot and cold, shall we say. And he's like, okay, I'll go with you. No, I'm not going to go with you. I'll go with you. Okay, just walk. I just want you to leave. And he assaulted one of my staff who happened to be an older gentleman. So we attempted to handcuff him, and he was able to turn on me and knock out one of my teeth. And that was he actually did me a favor because I had big gaps in my teeth anyway. So the company paid for it, and that's just you cannot get overconfident in your training and whatever. So you can never compare two situations the same. You got to approach everyone differently. And this guy, like I said, this guy was hot and cold, and I thought we were doing the right thing, and he just snapped, and he started assaulting for no reason. He could have just walked. We just get out of here. You're kind of weird. It's closing time. But yeah, he unfortunately struck one of my guys and then caught me. But he spent a year in jail for I didn't want to press charges, but he went automatically. But yeah, we see some interesting things.
How long do you think you're going to stick around?
This in the business, I'm not done. I train my guys to take my job because I'm going to take a vice president's job someday.
That's the way to do it.
Knock on wood, if I should drop tomorrow's not promised to any of us. So someone has to take my job. I want to make sure it's someone trained to do it. It's something I didn't get coming up in the business too much of. I wasn't given that opportunity. So I'm trying to make sure all my guys, the guys that want it and they show initiative. And I never thought I would be the mentor, and now all of a sudden I'm that guy, and that's what I try. I pass on whatever I can, and is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know, but it's worked, and so that's what I'm trying to pass on to these young kids who want to make a name for themselves in the business.
What percentage of your staff are women?
In my department right now, I would say we're about 35%.
Okay.
35 to 40. You don't need a lot of background in the security department, security field. We do all the training. again, a lot of customer service base. So we take that, and it's just women thinking, oh, I don't have any police background. No, it doesn't need that. I've had girls from front desk come to my departments. I've had our girls go to cocktail waitressing. We do all the training, and there again, our safety is in numbers. So I had a very, very petite girl in my class today that I was training, and I think I woke up the spark in her that, hey, I can protect myself even though I've never had to before. Yeah. And I gave her a couple tools, but very, very young petite girl, and I think I helped. I like to think I helped.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the final segment that we call Tip the Player. The idea behind Tip the Player is there are a lot of people who come to this city, and we encourage them to take care of the people who work here. We want them to tip their waitress. We want them to tip the bar staff, the maids, the valet. There's a lot of tipping that goes on, so we ask them to be generous to the people who work here. In return, we ask people who live and work in the city to give them a good tip. Do you have one, a good one for anyone who's visiting the city?
It's definitely, I'd like to say definitely come have your fun. But, it is Vegas. That's what the basis of Vegas is. But, what, don't take things for granted as far as your personal safety. Again, I'm always looking over shoulders, always looking at things. People tend to forget that, if I leave my phone here for 30 minutes, it's going to stay there. Well, there's opportunistics everywhere. Yes, we have the cameras. Yes, we have security. Yes, we have all that. But please just watch out for yourselves and watch out your friends. Don't come alone. One of the big things I worry, if you go out as a group, stay as a group. Just because you meet the cute guy from California and you're from Iowa, but you're here with your girlfriends and not to say whatever, but, make sure you look out for each other. It's a fun town. It's given me a lot. It's developed my family, which I never thought I would have. The town has cleaned up a lot. In fact, the area that we're talking right now, this whole little East Fremont Street area, it's someplace I wanted to come on my off time 10 years ago, and now I frequent it quite a bit. Yeah. But the safety in numbers. Make sure you have each other's back. Have fun. Have each other's back. And security is looking out for y'all.
The city almost breeds maybe a false sense of security, because if you're playing at a table, you need to go use the restroom. Sure, just leave your money on the table. We'll look out. We'll look out for you.
It is, and one of the biggest things is the girls that leave their purses sitting behind them and out of view, and and that type of things, or going to the bathroom and hanging your purse on the hook right there, where all it takes is someone reaching over and grabbing that person and walking out.
Does that happen?
Oh, that's happened.
You know what? That's actually kind of smart. You're in a seated position and
what
you
are
can't
you going
get
to
up.
do? She's not going to run out.
Exactly. Can't run after you. Now, you don't know who did it. All you can give is a description of your purse, and there's 50 Coach purses out on.
I mean, someone really has to know, though, that you hung the purse. Otherwise, they're just... Our audience can't see this, but I'm doing the action of reaching over.
Correct. So,
but that's just something I never considered.
Yeah, it's those things,
So there's a good tip for all our potential thieves out there. Thank you, Chris, for pointing that out.
Thank you, Aaron, for pointing that out.
But security will be out there, and we'll track it down, and we got a very good return ratio for those type of incidents.
Yeah, that's messed up, man. That's really messed up.
Like I said, it's an opportunistic. That's why I say, there's the joke of the girls going to the bathrooms together. But, even me, if I go to the bathroom and I got a sports coat on and whatever, and I have to use a stall, I keep that in my lap. Even I've seen sports coats go missing. And, because most men will put their cash or their phones or their money in their sports coat and hang that on the bathroom stall. And
I was just going to say, if I lose a jacket that way, I've lost the jacket. But I guess if you have some valuables in there, your Celine Dion tickets, whatever you have in there, your precious things, you want it. You don't want it lost.
And it's usually the money and you report it and that stuff like that. But it's going to be the sentimental aspect of I've had reports where it was a teddy bear. A little girl lost her teddy bear, and we don't know what happened to it. And so it was basically what we do, a lost missing report for it. And to You're right. Well, it was a teddy bear. You get a new one. Well, it meant something special to her because her father that passed away gave it to her.
Yeah.
So we do all, it doesn't matter what it is. We're going to help them out, try to locate it, try to find it. Yeah. Huge, amazing lost and found systems, but it comes down to that. And then you get that vice versa of, I lost my jacket, my work purse was stolen. No, you left it over here like 30 minutes ago. Yeah. So,
buddy, thank you for coming.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having us, guys, and enjoy your time in Vegas. Come back, come see us at the SLS. Ask for Mike. I'm not just a security guy. I'll show you around and give you the grand tour, a little bit of history of the property. And, thanks for having me.
We are very thankful to Mike for coming on the show and sharing some insight about Las Vegas hotel security. We encourage you to stop by the SLS and ask for Mike. If he has time, he'll give you a tour of the property and he'll share some awesome stories from when the property was the Sahara. Usually at the end of our interviews, we ask if there's anything our guest would like to plug, and to be honest, I forgot to ask him. So I'm going to promote the SLS for Mike. Located at the north end of the Strip, the SLS is the perfect place to stay if you like to split your time between downtown Las Vegas and the Strip. It's about a 10-minute cab ride either way up or down Las Vegas Boulevard. The food options they have are amazing. I've eaten at Umami Burger, which offers upscale hamburgers, and Katsuya, which is an amazing sushi experience. And I can't wait to try Bazaar Meat, which looks like a carnivore's dream, and Ku Noodle, which offers Asian cuisine. Another feature about the SLS that I love is the gaming. When I was there a couple months back, the blackjack tables were 3-2. When I was there, they were offering $10 tables during the day and tables as low as $15 in the evening. Now, you should consider that I was playing midweek. I'm not sure what the blackjack table minimums are on the weekends. One last feature that I'd like to highlight is the resort fee. The resort fee includes shuttle service from the airport directly to the SLS. It also includes shuttle service back to the airport with one stop mid-strip at the Miracle Mile shops at Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino. So if you want to go mid-strip anytime during your stay, you can take the shuttle and just get off at the Planet Hollywood stop. Getting back to the SLS from the Strip is easy. For $5, you can take the monorail back. There's a station stop about 100 yards from the SLS. The money you'll save in cab fare during your stay will easily cover the cost of the resort fee. So this week we're going to talk about downtown parking. It's a problem for a lot of people who go and visit Las Vegas with a car. You have to pay everywhere to park, which is a little frustrating to do because you would assume if they want you to gamble at their casino, they would just let you park in their parking lot for free, but that's not the case. The cheapest parking that I found on a recent trip is at Neonopolis. It is located on 4th and Ogden. The parking is the first hour is free. Then it's $1 an hour. The max you'll pay is $5. But here's the big advantage of parking at Neonopolis. It's covered parking. So if you're going there in the summer and you don't want to come back to a car that's hotter than it is inside than it is outside, park there. And it's cheap. It's the cheapest you'll find in downtown Las Vegas.
And what is Neonopolis, a strip bar?
Neonopolis is just the name of the parking structure.
Oh.
Well, it's the name of the mall that's across the street.
Okay, yeah. I was like, that can't be the name of a parking. They didn't brand the parking structure like the parking spot.
No. It's the name of the mall that's across the street from Inspire. One of the people over at Inspire gave me that tip because I was hanging out in downtown Las Vegas so often, and I had been paying, I think it was $3 per hour over at the El Cortez metered lot. And I said, this is just ridiculous. Can you suggest somewhere else for me to park? And they pointed me in that direction. There's another actually really good, cheap parking, but this is only Friday and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. And this is over at the Container Park. They have $5 valet parking. You can find all the information that we talked about in the ACES segment in the show notes at our website at facesandaceslv.com. And with that, we bring episode 12 to a close, and we bring 2015 to a close. Please join us in the new year where we talk to former military and Bronze Star recipient, Jax. She's currently a team leader at Adventure Combat Ops, which is a real-life Call of Duty type high adrenaline experience. If you're looking for something different to do in Vegas, you're going to want to check out this episode. We would like to also say thanks to Mike for giving us some great safety tips and for sharing some fun stories about hotel security. Katie, Aaron, and I hope you're all having a wonderful holiday season. Please be safe wherever you end up this New Year's Eve. We also want to thank you for downloading and listening to our show and for sticking with us. Knowing that people are listening to the show makes us want to work harder and put on a better show. We have some really cool, fun ideas that we're going to roll out in 2016. We hope you'll join us. Happy holidays, and thank you from all of us at Faces and Aces Las Vegas.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.
In Vegas, everybody's got to watch everybody else. Since the players are looking to beat the casino, the dealers are watching the players. The boxmen are watching the dealers. The floormen are watching the boxmen. The pit bosses are watching the floormen. The shift bosses are watching the pit bosses. The casino manager is watching the shift bosses. I'm watching the casino manager, and the eye in the sky is watching us all.
Go.